NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers went over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.
We are live, and it is Thursday, October the 13th. One day closer to big college football Saturday, huge NFL Sunday, and we've got some MLB playoffs and also a little bit of college and NFL football this week before we get there. This is Wager Talk Today. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez, who remains on assignment in Las Vegas as we speak. And that is my co-host, Rocksteady Teddy Covers, who's trying to avoid the Prez in Las Vegas as we speak. It is Thursday. It's a loaded show as always, Teddy. We start off with Adam Trigger. He's decided on an NFL and college football game, including the Thursday night game between the Commanders and Bears tonight. We have talked more about one of the worst Thursday night games in the history of the NFL on this show the last couple of days, and we will continue to do so with Adam Trigger, Commanders, Bears at the top. Also an ACC battle, UNC Duke. Teddy, you've got a big game breakdown with your New York Jets and Green Bay Packers in between. Also, UFC is back this week. Took a week off, but they're back this week. Kyle Anthony, our UFC expert, will be here to talk about a couple of fights. And then we close things off on Thursday with Kelly Stewart. Kelly in Vegas is going to talk a couple college football games, including that big Alabama-Tennessee game. I'm really interested to get their take on that with the quarterback situation with Alabama. Also going to look at Utah-USC, a huge game in the Pac-12. But, Teddy, before we get to those football games, I wanted to find out if you, first of all, avoided Prez last night, and if you learned anything in Vegas. I heard another Canadian was in town. How'd that work out?
Yeah, the Canadians are coming to town. I'm getting good meals off the deal. Went out and got a great meal on Tuesday night with Prez and Marco. And, of course, tweeted out a photo that night. And if you look, it's Prez and Marco and me, and I'm in the middle. And I'm hanging out with Prez. So, obviously, you're just watching your watch and waiting for it to get over. And I'm looking pretty miserable in the middle. Then last night, Carmine Bianco. Of course, you know him from Wager Talk. You know him from Wager Talk Today. And if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, you know, Carmine and his silent partner won $105,000 in the Circa Millions Challenge, the first quarter prize. They shared it with Adam Trigger and his group. Both of them went 18-1-1. So Carmine, his partner, and his silent partner come down and get the big fake check yesterday. And then they got $100,000 and they're ready to party in Vegas. And that's, you know, right up my alley. I'm happy to hang out with someone that just won $100K. No problem. So it was the opposite of when I went out with Prez and Marco the previous night. And Marco was there too last night. But Sherapan showed up. Las Vegas Chris was there. Carm and his partner were there. And Prez wasn't there. No, Prez preferred to play poker by himself than to hang out celebrating with his friends and colleagues. You know, that's Prez. But it was a really special night at Andiamo's. And to see someone who we like and admire and respect, like Carmine, a guy who works really hard all the time, get a $100,000 payday and get to go out and celebrate, that was a lot of fun last night. And it was good to see good people making good money. Adam Trigger will be in that same category when he gets his portion of his check. I don't know if he's gotten it yet or not. We'll ask him when he comes on the show. But the bottom line is fun time last night in downtown Las Vegas. And I'll tell you this, though, Merrill. I went out back-to-back nights, even just for dinner. I wasn't out, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I can't go out back-to-back nights anymore, dude. I'm just too old. Certainly not at this time of year. Won't happen again for a while. How about you?
Well, I was laughing because I told Teddy before the show, I was like, you are allowed to go out back-to-back nights. When I mean allowed, I'm talking about him allowing himself. No one else allows it. It's Teddy allowing himself to go out back-to-back nights during the football season, because I know that day off where you had to go talk to the doctor and the accountant killed you on Tuesday. So you're going to bunker down. You'll be watching more football than ever probably the next couple of days and nights. Nothing too much. Let's bring Adam on, actually. I want to get his take on all this because we talk about Carm winning over 100K there, and then we bring on our first guest who splits with them and wins, I guess, over 100K as well, right, Adam? So, I mean, Wager Talk Today, WagerTalk.com, doing pretty well in the NFL. We had Arthur DeCesar on from the Westgate yesterday. We were talking about how well some of the entries are doing there in the Westgate contest, and you guys across town. we've got the Strip covered. My entries and Teddy's entries have the Strip covered. You guys have the downtown covered with the Circa. Adam, welcome to the show. When are you going to go collect your check? Are they going to mail it to you? That check looked really big to mail. That might take a while.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, you know what's funny? The guys at Circa said some people will ship them back, and it costs like $500 to ship that thing. It's like not cheap to ship a huge cardboard check like back across the country. But we'll be out for Colts Raiders. So that's the weekend we're coming. We're going to go to the game and then hang out for a few days. So so I'll be in town for a couple days. Anyone wants to come down, I think we'll obviously stay at Circa. But yeah, so Teddy, prepared to be dragged out on a weeknight probably that week as well. But yeah, Colts Raiders weekend, we're going to come in. It should be a good time.
Teddy, can you handle that? Another dinner? Another good dinner?
So I mean, like once NBA starts, it gets real dicey. You know what I mean? Well, I would love to come, Adam. I look forward to it, and hopefully I'll be able to join you because it's. Look, you did something that's worthy of celebration, dude. You know, when you walk away with even a quarter prize for $100K is doing something that is worth shouting from the rooftops about. Doesn't happen every day, doesn't happen every year, doesn't happen every decade. So you deserve to celebrate it. You deserve to enjoy it. You got to get back to work the next day. It's just how it is.
Yeah, and Adam, it's funny because we went 14-1 in the West game. My Shady 5 entry with Joe Ranieri is a part of Gabe Morency, Cam Stewart, Paul Bovey over at Sports Grid, and we won the first 3 week. I was thinking, man, I wish we were in that Circa because the first 4 weeks is a bigger chunk than we got, and we would have missed it by one game, 17-2-1, and they went 18-1-1, I believe. So I was really glad we weren't in the Circa because 17-2-1 not to cash is pretty painful. To say the least. But hey, look, good luck, big picture. We're all alive in these contests. Teddy and Prez are doing really well at the WagerTalk Today entry here as well, as we talked about yesterday. So I'm sure we've mushed us all. Teddy is 100% certain we've mushed us. I'm 99% certain we probably have. Kelly's about 100% certain she's coming on later. But now, look, we're in momentum. I'm a big momentum guy. I think we're doing it right. Let's keep it rolling. Speaking of the NFL, man, let me ask you about the NFL game tonight. I'm joking because Tony Mejia talked about a prop. Teddy did a big game breakdown on this yesterday. I was like, it's the worst Thursday night game in recent history, and we've talked more about it than any other Thursday night game this season. But we're going to keep talking about it because it is the biggest game on the board tonight from a betting standpoint. My Washington Commanders against the Chicago Bears. Commanders are briefly a 1-point favorite, and then it went to pick on +1. Pretty much a straight-up win situation here. How are you looking at it?
Well, let me start off by saying I opened up TikTok this morning, Steve, and I didn't even have this written down, but I see Teddy Covers, who's like a new TikTok star. You should be following all of us on TikTok. And he throws me another stat that I didn't even have in my handicap for this game, which is fading a first-year coach on Thursday Night Football. They're 0-2 already this year, and we have one with the Bears. Eberflus is a first-year coach on Thursday night, so that just supports my angle on the Washington Commanders that much more. As far as the matchup is concerned here, you look at the last 4 weeks for the Commanders. Yes, they've lost. Some of the losses have been worse than others, but the opponent caliber has gotten easier each week. Eagles to Cowboys to Titans to now the Bears. So, in my opinion, this matchup is far more favorable for Wentz than the other three. The Bears' secondary is a disaster. Their defense overall is just not great. Believe they allowed Kirk Cousins to complete his first 17 passes of the game last week, which is wild. It's Kirk Cousins. And, you look at the Commanders last week. They outgained the Titans 385 to 241. Guys, I still feel like I won that game. They're at the 2-yard line. How? I mean, I guess it's Carson Wentz, so that's how. But they don't punch it in and get the win there is still beyond me. I'm taking another shot, guys. This is a 4% play for me. And listen, I had every intention of selling this, but I said, you know what? I try to come on WagerTalk Today with a 4% each or a client play each week. And I said, everyone's going to know if I put this up for sale that I'm on the Commanders because I came on here last week and talked about the Commanders and I had them the week before. So I figured, why not? Let's just give this one out for free. 4% play, Washington Commanders. Teddy, I think the third time is the charm for me here. I think I get the money tonight. With the Commanders at a pick.
I think so too. But I got to ask you about the news that just came out this morning with Carson Wentz saying that his shoulder's hurt and there's all these concerns about how healthy Wentz is for tonight. And if there's one QB that I'm nervous about, you want Wentz at 100%, and you want him against a weak defense. We have half of that equation. Are you worried about the other half?
Well, Teddy, you want him at 100% or you don't want him at all, I guess, because, that's always a nice angle in the NFL, having to, if for some reason, let's say he got knocked out early or he couldn't play, just my confidence in the Bears defense to adjust to him not being in or to a different quarterback is not very high. And listen, yeah, he might be banged up, but I still think these guys, if they're going to play and Wentz is going to get out on the field, even if he is banged up, this is a big game for him. His coach kind of called him out after that loss to the Titans. So I think he's going to show up to play here. And there's just a lot of good reasons to like the Commanders in this matchup. The Bears don't throw the ball at all. It's almost like they only throw when it's like panic mode for Fields. He's trying to throw the ball downfield. And I don't think they're going to be able to run on the Commanders. The Commanders' run defense is respectable. The way you beat the Commanders is through the air. And I don't think Justin Fields and the Bears' anemic passing offense can do that. So there's a lot of reasons I like this matchup for the Commanders. I think I'm going to finally get this one right. 4% play for me, Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football.
Adam Trigger's Washington Commanders. That's how I should have said it when I led into that game, not my Commanders. They'll never be my Commodores. They weren't even my Redskins the last 20 years. That ship sailed a long time ago in the D.C. area for me. By the way, Taylor Heineke, of course, Old Dominion quarterback, and Sam Howell out of North Carolina would be the backups. And that transitions into your college football game, ironically, because we're going to talk UNC football. Duke, UNC. What you doing with this game, Adam?
Steve, I can only fade North Carolina. They're just this is a hard fade team for me. I didn't get to the window with Miami last week, and thankfully so, because North Carolina found a way to win that game. But listen, I'm far. I'd rather go against North Carolina when they're laying points with this horrible defense. They are the worst defense in the ACC, and there's some bad teams in the ACC, Steve, but I think North Carolina defensively is by far the worst. Still gave up 538 yards last week in the win over Miami. I'm still not quite sure how they pulled that one out, but they did. And here they've got to go on the road, Wallace Wade Stadium, natural grass turf. It's kind of a weird place to, not the easiest place to play, I would say. Duke hasn't exactly had competition come in there this year, but they're 3-0 and all of their wins at home have been convincing ones. And you know what? You look at this series, the last 20 games in this series, the favorite has only covered the number 6 times, which I think is important here. North Carolina, with their defense being the way it is, they're just not a team that I would want to lay a touchdown with. I think Duke's a little underrated. They hung around in that Kansas game. I don't know that the loss to Georgia Tech last week is really probably it doesn't really do them justice, if you will. So North Carolina guys, they've been overrated all season. They're a fade for me still. I've hit a couple times fading them so far this year. Just very misleading results from North Carolina, even going back to the Virginia Tech game when they only gave up 10 points. This defense is far worse than they've looked on the stat sheet or in the scoreboard the last 2 weeks. And for that reason, I'll take the points with Duke. Would not be surprised to see Duke win this game.
So I had the pleasure, I'm being sarcastic, of playing North Carolina Miami over ticket last week, which looked fine at halftime. Van Dyke sets his all-time career high for passing yards, and the game stays 2 touchdowns under because North Carolina's much maligned defense made a bunch of key stops. They kept on getting stops on 4th down. Miami kept on moving the ball and getting in the red zone, and Chizik's defense shut them down multiple occasions. And I'm like, maybe you got to rethink North Carolina's defense a little bit because their yardage numbers are so bad. All right. Their yardage numbers are atrocious. But near the goal line, there's certainly talent on that defense and athleticism on that defense. So that concerns me. The other issue that I have is you talked about the series history. Last 3 meetings, North Carolina's favored all 3 times. North Carolina wins and covers all 3 times. 38-7 last year, 56-24 the year before. It's not like this has been a competitive series of late. So given the fact that maybe the Tar Heels defense is better than their stats, and given the fact that in recent years North Carolina's annihilated this team, is that a concern for you?
All right, so to answer question 1, North Carolina is going to have to do a lot more than get a few stops against Miami to make me rethink betting against their defense. Right, they're giving up 32 points per game, 466 yards per game. I'm happy to go against that with a team that's laying 7 points. As far as the recent series history is concerned, it's definitely a notable point, but it gives, this is still, it's not basketball, but it's still a rivalry, right? Like, this is still Duke UNC. This is still, 12 miles between the campuses. This is still a game that Duke is going to want for that reason. And now they've got some big revenge going back a couple seasons. So basically, based off what you said, there's going to be upperclassmen on this Duke team that this is their last chance to get North Carolina. So you're going to give me a touchdown with Duke at home, and that's the scenario. And then you've got North Carolina coming off of a win over Miami. I like the Duke Blue Devils with the touchdown. And again, I think there's an outside chance they win this one, Ted.
That is Adam Trigger. He obviously knows his NFL as he just cashed a $100K check, a large, giant $100K check at the Circa in the NFL, but he knows his college football also. And Adam, you'll be back at 3 o'clock Eastern today with me and Drew Martin talking some more college football right here on the network on WagerTalk Today. WagerTalk TV, rather. College Football Today, WagerTalk TV. And don't forget, if you miss these shows, they're archived 24/7, 365. You can also watch them on the mobile app. Download that app on your favorite device. You can also listen to them podcast audio style. Teddy and I look fantastic audio style on your favorite podcast app. Adam, what else you got going on at wagertalk.com for this weekend?
Yeah, so probably not the best sales tactic, but I just gave you my only client play for Thursday. So that's the Commanders 4% play. But I have a 5% college football play up for Saturday. It's only my fourth one of the season. I'm 3-0 on these so far, and I'm 6-1 on 5% college football. Max bets dating back to last year. So that goes on Saturday. And that's up on my page now.
Great reason to go to his page right now. Get a strong 5% best bet. Adam Trigger, wagertalk.com. All right, he just used his Washington Commanders, Teddy, so I want to hear about your New York Jets. Packers, Jets, big game breakdown, 30 seconds from Teddy Covers.
Hey, NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers went over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the NFL on Sunday and take a look at the Packers and the Jets. Jets, a team that I've used back-to-back weeks here as a free play winner on WagerTalk Today. And you know where I'm going already. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing Packers 7.5 as a prevailing number, total 45. There is some variance. Some books are at 7. The sharper books are at 7 for Green Bay and New York. And there are some 45.5s out there. Let's talk about the Packers for a minute, all right? What makes anybody think that Green Bay should be a touchdown plus favorite against any decent team right now? They're coming back from London. It's not an ideal spot. The defense has been gashed repeatedly this season. Started from day one. Remember they couldn't stop Justin Jefferson? That hasn't changed. This defense that was supposed to be all that, it's not, all right? And we have Aaron Rodgers dealing with a thumb injury. You know, he didn't practice again yesterday. A team with no offensive chemistry. That's been an issue all year with Rodgers and his receivers. No question. You know, and Rodgers yesterday, I'll try to get out there and practice tomorrow and see how it feels. That's not the most optimistic quote from a team that's having issues on offense and having issues on defense and laying more than a touchdown. Jets off back-to-back wins. So look at this Zach Wilson quote. The expectation is changing. We're expecting to come in and win and be shocked when we don't. That's how the mindset needs to be for everybody. Breece Hall, we're not the old Jets. We're the new Jets now. We're definitely trending for becoming a winning team. Jets have been nothing but bet on in recent weeks. I like the mentality of that squad a lot more than Green Bay right now. And catching more than a touchdown, Get the hook here. Give me the Jets, Jets, plus the 7.5. I expect them to hang around for a long, long time at Lambeau. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Merrill.
Teddy covers, and I was joking his New York Jets because he grew up in the New York area is why I was saying that, but I forgot you had been on them recently in the last few weeks. So they really are becoming your New York Jets. And Zach Wilson, of course, back at quarterback now for a couple of weeks. We'll see how he continues to progress. Number 2 overall pick a year ago, as opposed to Flacco in week 1 when they really struggled in that game against the Ravens. Teddy, let's talk a little UFC. We're going to mix up the football talk here with Kyle Anthony, who is definitely a UFC expert to say the least. And Kyle, I hadn't seen you since Vegas, so it's good to see you again. And we had a lot of fun in August back at the meet and greet. And I thought we were going to maybe handicap the Mrs. USA, Miss Universe, what was coming up. But you sent over 2 UFC fights instead. So we're going to talk fights. But you did send a female main event, so I'll give you partial credit for that to keep your street cred alive. Let's lead right into it. Teddy and I don't follow the UFC as close as you do, so I want to get your take on this Grasso Arroyo big fight night in Vegas on Saturday night. Let's look at the main event first. What you looking at here?
First, a fantastic intro. I appreciate the intro, and
I'm no Prez.
We'll be living off that for a while until I go back to Vegas, I think. But with the main event here, we have Alexa Grasso versus Viviana Araujo. And the first thing here when you're looking at these two women is their striking and their movement. And the one thing that they both do very well is the movement, is the footwork, activity, kind of keeping movement, staying on the outside, bouncing in and out of the pocket, which is a big part of what they do. Now, when you talk about the striking side of it, the one thing that they really do differently is that Viviana throws everything with 100% power. She fires big. She's a big girl, strong girl. And compared to what Grasso does, Grasso's more of a technical striker. She stays in the stays in the pocket, in and out. But the thing about when you're looking at two fighters in general fighting is how they throw the strike. And then you've got Viviani, who throws big looping hooks, has power when she can land, but big looping hooks, and that's going to take longer to get to the target. Where you've got somebody like Grasso who has the quicker hands, the faster hands, that's going to get there quicker, that's going to get on the inside. But the biggest issue, absolutely, that Viviani has is her cardio. And this is something that she's 36 years old now. She has not changed at all when it comes to her cardio, and it's the management of that cardio. I mean, that's going to be a big issue for her. She pushes out such a big volume, and that's going to be a problem. There's no doubt about it. She does not change how she uses her energy over a period of time. That's going to be big. Now, the vulnerability for Grasso is going to be her grappling. She has terrible grappling. She has shown she had terrible grappling, and that's something that she's improving. And a lot of people kind of looking at and saying, hey, maybe there's an opportunity for Viviani to get out there, get the takedowns and control, but she really struggles with that. She can't fuel these takedowns over and over and over again. And we've seen Viviani get better at defending takedowns, scrambling, staying out of the pocket when she's on the ground, transitioning very smoothly. And those are certain things that can really slow down somebody like Araujo, where if you're going to keep shooting for these takedowns, you have to have the energy to keep doing it. And at 36 years old, like I'm saying, I don't think there's going to be much change. And when Grasso fought, who was it? Barber. She fought Barber, and when she fought Barber, she took her down. She had back control. She got out transitionally very well. Now, the big issue here is this is a 5-round fight. And I think there's a great live betting opportunity here where this first round is going to be, I think, Viviani. I think she's going to utilize her explosiveness. She's going to be able to be in the pocket. She's going to get some takedowns, or at least positionally have control. And I think that's pretty much the best shot she's going to have any kind of winning success here. It's going to slowly dwindle down that 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. So we're looking at the number here. It's minus 215. That's a high number for me. If you're looking at just what these females do, Grasso has 14 wins in the UFC. 9 have come by decision. And the only reason that this Grasso via points is plus 125, plus 130 is because recently she just got a submission victory. And that's not really what she does. Joanne Calderwood kind of fell into that trap. So I don't really think that's going to happen. I think this goes the distance. I think it's perfect position where Viviani's not going to have the cardio slow down, and Grasso picks her apart. So I do like Grasso via points. Plus 130 is the number. I think it's a great price and probably the most likely path to victory.
So you just killed my follow-up question right at the end when you're like, I think it'll go the distance, because I'm sitting there looking at the total 4.5 over minus 230. Whatever bet you're making in the title fight, it seems like you would want to make it by decision. Correct? Is that
Yes, absolutely. And again, most likely path, it's got to be it for her here.
Sure. Well, let's talk about something on the undercard for Saturday night right here in fabulous, sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval. I'm seeing Askarov's the chalk here, about a 5-2 favorite. What do you want to do with this fight?
Well, the one thing here when you're looking at these two fight, and really the biggest thing is Askarov is not going to hide what he's doing. He's going to be looking for the takedowns. He's going to be looking for positional control. He's going to be looking to smother you. I mean, that's pretty much what he's done. And the way he's found success is just having heavy top pressure. When he's able to get the takedown, he's able to get the smothering. That's been great for him. It's really worked out well. And again, smaller apex cage, I think, limits the space that he's going to be able to move around. And I think he can get a hold of them. Now, Royval on the other side here is have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu credentials, high-level credentials. But the one issue that he does, and he falls perfectly into the trap of what Askarov does, is he's fine being on his back. Being a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, he's okay being on his back. He's okay kind of utilizing some of his, scrambling abilities, and even he's a submission hunter off of his back. So there are great things that he does when off of his back. But that's probably the worst place you want to be against Askarov in this spot here. So I do think that the fact that he does have this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu will extend this fight also. I think he's going to be able to survive off of his back. It's going to be Askarov just kind of utilizing heavy pressure and getting all of that. And if you look at one of the most recent fights for Royval, which was against Bontarine, and Bontarine does not have the ability, anywhere near the ability of takedown ability and grappling of Askarov. And he got down Royval 8 of 9 attempts. So, and although there was scrambling and he got free and all these things, it looked great. But that's if Askarov puts him in that position, it's going to be bad news for Royval, and I think that's a bad situation for him. Striking-wise, Royval has a lot of great tools. He's unpredictable. He's got versatile striking, but the issue for him, again, is he's reckless. He likes to throw a lot of explosive stuff, spinning, jumping things, which if they land great, maybe they can get the finish. Not very likely, and Askarov does have durability, so I think that's going to cause an issue too. So I do see this fight more being up against the cage, kind of nothing too exciting in my opinion, up against the cage, holding him, taking him down, up against the cage, and those are the kind of things like Viviani doesn't have. She's got to have the gas tank to do it, where Askarov has that gas tank to keep doing it, keep pushing, keep having his hands on him. And if you look at Askarov, he has 14 victories, 7 are by submission, but since he signed with the UFC, he's had 5 fights. All of them have gone to a decision. He's not been able to put away some of these guys on the regional scene that he's able to do. And Royval has 6 losses. 4 are by decision, so he's not an easy guy to put away either. So this is another spot where I think it goes the distance here. You're getting off the minus 250 number. Askarov via points is anywhere from plus 130 to plus 140. I think is the most likely path again, and really stylistically, it fits perfectly in what he's doing. I think the submission threat will keep this, have some legs, and get to the decision. So I like Askarov via points. Like I said, anywhere plus 130, plus 140.
It's Kyle Anthony, UFC expert, to say the least. And just to put it in perspective, he's up 105 units the last 365 days. You have doubled your bankroll over the past year by playing his best bets at WagerTalk.com. And it's a great way to diversify your portfolio, because I'll tell you right now, Kyle, Teddy and I will not be having any UFC best bets this weekend. I make that at minus 5,000, minus 50,000 probably. So it's a great way to diversify. And Kyle, looks like you've been sneaking a little NFL in there as well, doing pretty well. Looks like an 80% NFL run the last couple of weeks. So tell people what you got going on this weekend at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, so I'll definitely have some, a little dabble in with the NFL plays this weekend again. I do have a 4% best bet play this year. On 4% best bet plays, I'm 73%. I have a plus money 4% best bet play here. So have some other plays loaded in there, and I'm ready, man. I'm ready for some fights.
Awesome. Plus 105 units the past 365 days. And he's got a plus money play for UFC this week. And Kyle Anthony, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's finish it off. Let's bring Kelly in. Kelly in Vegas, who's Kelly in Florida this week, which is good. She gets a little rest. She travels a lot. She's, of course, with Barstool Sports as well. And Kelly, let's jump right into it. I want to try to get several games in with you. We'll look at a couple of college football and hopefully a little bonus NFL as well. And, of course, you got Bet on It today. I believe it was yesterday on Wednesday. You get that up every Wednesday. There's college and pro editions as well here on WagerTalk TV. So, Kelly, welcome to the show. Let's start off with the Alabama game. I just did an ESPN radio hit about an hour ago. I do every Thursday in the Tennessee Valley area. They cover Alabama closely. They're saying it looks like Bryce Young will be a quarterback. That's what they're saying. He'll be back. They don't think he's 100%, though. Bama about a 7.5-point favorite at Tennessee. What's your take on this one?
Well, he's got to be better than his backup, Jalen Milroe, was last week with 3 interceptions that almost cost him that game. And I think this is a buy low spot for Alabama. On Sunday, when I started doing my college football handicapping, I had Tennessee on my long list. I said, this seems very odd. What am I missing here? And the more that I started to dig into this one, I realized that Tennessee was going to be the square dog. And of course, look what we just saw, what they were able to do in Death Valley, 11 a.m. game, and they just throttled the LSU Tigers. I do think that this is an Alabama team that is going to be in contention for the national championship once again. They do tend to falter for some reason against Jimbo Fisher. And I think this is a big bounce back spot for them. I do have my concerns about Bryce Young, of course, not being 100%. I just read the same article you probably did that said he is practicing. He will be the starter. Hopefully he can stay healthy for 4 quarters. But our good friend Joe Ranieri pointed out yesterday on Bet On It, if you guys missed the college football edition, Josh Heupel, 19-2 back to his days at UCF in the first half. So I think I might just do a little trickery here. Take the Vols in the first half, take Bama for the game. I know that's a lot to ask for here, but I do think that this square dog is going to have the best of them. Alabama will get the best of them in 4 quarters.
So Alabama's strength in recent years has not been as road chalk. Obviously, we saw already this season they had a pretty good test at Texas earlier on this campaign where they never sniffed a cover as 21-point road chalk. Last year, they struggled in this role on multiple occasions. But when you look at the recent series history here, I mean, it's Alabama blowout every year. 52-24 last year, 48-17 the year before, 35-13 in 2019, 58-21, 45-7, 49-10. This is every meeting since 2016. Blowout, 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 blowout. Tennessee is better this year, aren't they? Or
oh, yeah, I absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I don't think this is a blowout, Teddy. I don't. I think this could be a 34-24 type game. Alabama wins the game by 10. It's not, my concern isn't the Tennessee offense here. I think the offense can match scores with Alabama, but their defense has shown me on several occasions they can be a liability. By all means, very happy to cash that Florida plus 10.5 ticket because of that same said defense in the second half. And that's why when Joe Ranieri brought up the Tennessee Vols first half trend, I said, that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. I will be joining you, but not for the full game. I don't think the Vols can hang around for 4 quarters here.
Hey, Kelly, I like where you're going with the public dog angle. It's something obviously I follow closely in the NFL, and people want me to do a fade the public college edition. I'm always like, it doesn't work as well in college sports. It works better in high profile like NFL, or NBA playoffs. But one angle it does work well is like the NCAA tournament. And also, I would argue top 25 SEC matchups. And this is a high profile game, and you're exactly right. The consensus 65-70% I'm seeing on Tennessee, and that's as an underdog. That's usually where the favorites are. So yeah, Tennessee is definitely a public dog. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to mention that in my top 25 video. And something else I'm going to mention as well is that the look-ahead line this summer was around 2 touchdowns for this game.
Yes, it was.
Line. So it's like half now. So it might seem pricey.
Yeah, 14.5 is what I believe it opened up as, Steve. And I made this game 10. And that's why I had Tennessee written down going, what in the heck am I missing? Teddy Covers does a really great set of numbers. Do you have those handy, Teddy? Can you tell us what you made this game?
It's going to be a minute before I look them up because I don't have the spreadsheet open. But I actually got a thing over here. Give me 1 second.
Well, I'll tell you what. My power rating surprisingly came out 3, Kelly, and that's what has me so conflicted on this game. I was really surprised because last week my math model had LSU -5, and we had a play on LSU over Tennessee for my clients, and obviously fumbled the opening kickoff return for touchdown. It was basically over because LSU couldn't trade points. So I think the little elves in my computer maybe got confused by that Tennessee result last week against LSU because I didn't think that was a legitimate blowout. It could have gone a lot differently. But, yeah, I'm all over the place on this game. Teddy, what are you looking at?
I had a 7. My strict powering number is a 7.5 on the game, so it's right. It's comparable to the market number. But I've got Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. All three of them a touchdown plus better than anybody else. So I've kind of put into my power ratings reasons for me not to step in front of those three teams.
Yeah, of course. Teddy's Michigan Wolverines were jumped by Clemson in the AP poll. They're now 5th, but they're 4th still in the coaches' polls. So we got Michigan, Clemson, and USC. That's called a transition. USC is the other team that's in that mix, Kelly. And I'm actually curious to get your take on this game because Utah's favorite, but they came off their second loss of the season. Their season's basically over from sneaking into the national title like they had hoped. Florida obviously was a big blow, but I think they were still somewhat alive until that second loss. USC, though, 6 straight wins. They've had 1 turnover all season, 1 interception, I believe. So how do you see this one playing out? USC at Utah on Saturday night.
Steve, your transition threw me for a loop because my best bet this week is against Teddy's Michigan Wolverines. I took the 7 with Penn State, but on to this one.
There you go.
The Utes. Could a team have looked any worse than the Utes last week? I mean, a top 25 team, that is. They looked absolutely terrible. They got ran all over by UCLA, and this is a Trojans team. I've been telling everybody has been benefiting from good luck. I cannot believe I'm willing to step in front of them again. I'm going to lay the points here with the Utes. We've seen Kyle Whittingham's squad bounce back from defeat before, 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games following a loss. They have also won 9 straight at home and 17 as a home favorite. USC, now fine, we can say they have a new coach, things change, but they're not going to be road underdogs very often as they haven't been in recent history. Just 1-9 against the spread in their last 10 as a road underdog. I think this is another square dog, since we're on that topic for today, that I'm looking to bet against.
So, in my mind, with USC, I don't care about any of their numbers with Clay Helton as the head coach. You know, that's a team where you wipe the slate and say, all right, Lincoln Riley. It's a whole different story with this particular head coach. And I haven't seen anyone stop USC's offense. So you talked about how Utah's defense got gashed last week. And all USC's done this year is move the football and score touchdowns and move the football and score touchdowns. They're playing for a title, in a sense. You know, I mean, this game is going to have implications in December for the Pac-12 championship, even though Utah has 2 losses, only one of them's come in conference. So they're playing for this is their last shot to play in the title game, and USC's trying to get there. Are you worried at all? I mean, there's enough factors for me that point towards the Trojans that make me a little bit reluctant to lay with Utah. It's the only way I'd play it. But any of those factors for USC concern to you? Because that's a good-looking offense against a defense that couldn't get stops a week ago.
They couldn't get stops.
Couldn't get stops against Florida either.
You're correct. They couldn't. And the Florida game kind of obviously was a little interesting at the end with that late turnover to not win in the swamp. I do think that this defense can get stops with USC. I think that Oregon State, if you watch that game versus the Trojans, they actually were able to shut down that offense. First low-scoring game that USC has been involved in all year, Teddy. That is the playbook, in my opinion. But I do think that this is a USC team that has just been a little too big for their britches. I'm going to steal that one from Marco D'Angelo. It's kind of like his fat and sassy. This team has just been flying high, and I think they're ready to get punched in the mouth. And that Utah Utes team historically has been that team. And yes, I do have my concerns about their defense this year, but I'm going to lay the points here with the home team and hope that they can come out and actually put the brakes on this offense.
Just cast a big underdog wager talk today bet there. I did not think Kelly Stewart would say the word britches during her segment. That was like 50-1. So we just cashed a big ticket there.
50-1, it was like 1,500-1.
Yeah.
1,500-1.
I only got 6-1 on that, man. You got a good bet.
I got a slow-moving square book that doesn't follow Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. That's where you need to follow Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. I want to talk one NFL game with you while we still have you. First, a little housekeeping. First of all, there's no baseball show today here because the night game has been rained out, everyone. That was within the last hour. So the Guardians-Yankees rained out as expected. They're going to be proactive and just postpone it till tomorrow. So we have the 3:30 Eastern game between the Mariners and Astros. So no first pitch here because we have no nighttime baseball. college football today back at 3 o'clock Eastern. Myself, Drew Martin, and Kelly Stewart's adopted little brother, Adam Trigger. And then also the NHL special. We haven't talked hockey today, but NHL 7 days for $49 is still available. We had Brian Leonard, Andrew McGinnis on Tuesday with the opening of the season. A lot of cappers there doing hockey. Get 7 days for $49 right now. And next week, the NBA starts on Tuesday. Stay tuned for a special NBA Week 1 offer as well to come up in the next couple of days. Kelly, NFL's been really good for both of us this season, for Teddy Covers as well. The Prez has told everyone in Vegas that he's doing well in the contest in the NFL this season. We'll let him continue to do that for all of us. And look, you're talking about a game I'm looking at as well. We talked about those two public dogs. And by the way, USC is looking pretty public also, like you said, along with Tennessee. Anti-consensus play in the Saints game, though. What are your thoughts on this one, New Orleans Saints? It's a game I'm looking at as maybe a fade the public this weekend for my video.
Yeah, the more I trash Prez in the Slack channel, we have a WagerTalk.com entry in one of the Vegas-based contests. And for some reason, Prez and I just keep being on the same side. And I keep saying it's the kiss of death, but it's been working out well for us. Prez and I have the same two favorite bets this weekend, so we're going to see how well that goes out for us. But I picked the other one. He picked one for the contest. I picked the other, so I'll give out the Saints here. This is a Saints team that we know has struggled. Full disclosure, they have not been that impressive, but that defense is what I'm willing to back here at home, mainly because no T. Higgins for the Bengals, back-to-back road games off that hard-fought loss to the Ravens. I do think this defense is going to have Joe Burrow on his butt quite a bit. We've seen him be sacked several times. Finally, that O-line did okay just a couple of weeks ago against the Jets. And then back to last week. He is just not getting the time that he needs. And I can promise you the Saints defense is not going to give him any more either. I had to talk about this on Bet On It yesterday where there was still some up in the air. Was it going to be Jameis Winston? Is it going to be Andy Dalton? And then now I've got Johnny Detroit picking up Taysom Hill on his fantasy team because he thinks Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback in New Orleans this weekend. Jameis did practice today. I expect Jameis to be the starter. It doesn't matter to me whether it's Andy or Jameis. Same in my book, because this is, again, more of a play on the Saints defense and what we're going to be able to see from them at home versus maybe a little bit of a worn-out Bucs squad.
So I got multiple questions. I got two follows.
Squad.
One man's Bucs and another man's Bengals. You know, it's how it is. But I got two follows for you here. First of all, the Saints defense that just got gashed completely last week, that Saints defense, they couldn't get any stops.
Look at how good Geno Smith has been playing.
Same thing the week before against Minnesota. All right, so Minnesota's New Orleans elite defense, back-to-back weeks, they have not looked elite. Carolina moved the football against them and beat this team. Carolina can't move the football against anyone. How confident are you the Saints defense is actually good? My confidence in that grows less by the week.
I think the Saints defense against certain caliber of quarterbacks is good. I think Geno Smith deserves a ton of credit for what he's been able to do in Seattle. And the Seahawks plus 2.5 is on my long list. I haven't decided if I'm going to get to the window with them, but they're an excellent teaser spot this week. As far as for Kirk Cousins, you're not going to get any Kirk Cousins slander from this girl. I have them over 9.5 wins. I have them winning the NFC North. This is Joe Burrow, who I think that excelled just a little too quickly, right? He comes off that injury. He gets to go to a Super Bowl. That O-line has been a problem for him for 18 plus months. And while sometimes they give him a little reprieve, it goes right back to where they were. And I do think that this Saints defense is going to be able to put pressure on him. I think the pass rush is going to be there. Yes, they've been gashed by certain teams that are more two-dimensional. I don't think this Bengals team is two-dimensional. I don't see them running the ball. I don't see them doing anything besides trying to air it out to Jamar Chase, which isn't working because he's getting double-teamed all the time, especially now with T. Higgins being out. I think Alvin Kamara coming back for the Saints is going to make that Saints offense open up just a little bit more, and that's something we haven't seen over the last couple of weeks. Michael Thomas should be back as well. I think the Saints team is going to be a lot more well-rounded than we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And yes, Teddy, I know that they have been gashed, but again, I think those two quarterbacks deserve a lot more credit than people are willing to give them.
And just one more real quick follow. You said you think Thomas is going to play this week, because I'm seeing mixed reports on Thomas right now. And there's a chance that, like last week, they won't have Olave or Thomas or Landry, their top three receivers. And then it doesn't matter whether you have Dalton or Winston or
correct.
Taysom Hill at QB.
So we do know that Kamara will be
So how
playing.
worried are you about that Saints injury report?
So as far as what I'm seeing as of 22 minutes ago, Landry is still questionable. Michael Thomas is probable. Chris Olave is questionable. But Alvin Kamara, because he is, I don't know what to call him. I guess I would call him like a hybrid slot receiver. I know he's a running back on the depth chart, but he just does so much more. He's so versatile that I think that really will help things with that offense. The Saints catching points at home have just been such a good proposition for me, Teddy, that I just, for some reason, can't seem to let it go. And I'm willing to lay my money with them here once again. Catching points. That Bucks game was my one best bet in the NFL loser this year, and that was a rather frustrating one. Tied 3-3 at half. Second half opens up. We know that Evans and Madison get into a huge brawl. Both get kicked out of the game. It's not a fun one.
Yeah, and by the way, Kelly, Saints, you could argue make a pretty good teaser play as well. Currently sitting +2 in most locations, so getting them up to +8 if you are a little worried about that defense. So my concern in this game would be the fact they came off the London game, returned home without the bye, but they are at home again, so they haven't had to travel at least since London. And by the way, defensive statistically, they gave up 5.7 against teams that average 5.8. The Bengals average 5.1 against teams that allow 5.8. So we'll find out if the Saints are decent defensively, and we'll also find out the Bengals can start turning things around offensively. And I think it'll be interesting to see if Burrow is a good quarterback or not. I mean, that's the big question in this game because he has had a choppy season so far. That's Kelly Stewart. Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. She is Kelly in Florida this weekend. There's no way she's going near Vegas with the Prez on assignment. Kelly, what else do you got going on this week? I know you're always busy.
Yeah, but boy, would I love to be with Carmine right now, chopping it up in Vegas. Yeah, he's like, I can't believe you're not here. We're going to Barry's. We're going to Andiamo's. I'm like, come on. What a bad week for me to be here. But yeah, lots of travel schedules. Look at Carm over there hugging all that money. Good for him.
Got money to
Couldn't
burn.
have happened to a better guy. Just the best. Yeah, I have a lot going on. Next 7 weeks, plan on being in Boston for a game. I'm going to be in Waco, Texas. Let's see. My birthday is when K-State plays KU. I haven't decided if I really want to go back for that one or not. We'll see how the next few weeks with the Kansas State Wildcats play out. And plan on going to see the Prop Queen in Baltimore to finish up the month. Denver Broncos play her Baltimore Ravens. And at the time, it seemed like it was going to be a really great game. Now I'm not so sure. But, yeah, busy travel schedule and excited to get out there and go experience some life.
My goodness, the frequent flyer miles you must accumulate are off the chart. Very bullish on that right there. It's Kelly Stewart, Kelly in Vegas on Twitter and numerous other outlets. And don't forget, Bet On It, college and pro football editions here. She does a great job with that. Joe Ranieri, Marco D'Angelo, little Ralph Michaels sightings as well. Teddy, great show. We'll do it again tomorrow on Friday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific as always. And Thursday night football. Once again, no baseball show today, but we'll be back at 3 o'clock Eastern for college football with Drew Martin, Adam Trigger, myself, Joe Ranieri. And then, Teddy, you and I will do this one more time tomorrow on Friday before the weekend. Take us home.
Yeah, that's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition. Listen, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us right here on WagerTalk Today. Take advantage of all the other programming we have to offer. And check back tomorrow, same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, you know what to do. Enjoy the games, and good luck.
Hey, NHL fans, the wait is over. The National Hockey League gets underway on Tuesday, October 11th, and last season, 8 WagerTalk handicappers went over 50 units in the NHL. To celebrate the start of the season, we are offering a 7-day NHL package for only $49. Yes, that's only $7 a day, and it will be valid through Sunday, October 9th. Don't worry, NBA fans, we'll be running the same special for you next week.